Not a bad way to start the morning.
No. Kayak fishing, bass fishing. It's warm. Mark, Bob, Delaware Valley Outdoors, stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. Yeah, nice one, little one. Put that light on, man. Gives you a lot of action.
Bob, when we're in slow water like this, and fishing's a little bit slow, what I like to do is just cast a rod out and troll with it. Kayak's perfect for trolling. Nice slow speed, and you can cover a lot of water, and it's a real productive way to fish in a kayak.
Because right now we're in a slow, slack piece of water here, and we're not really going to get any speed out of it. But if we start paddling, we can you can troll. Now, what? And you troll any specific bait, Mark, or is it just?
A lot of times when I'm smallmouth fishing on the river, I'll troll a Mr. Twister, chartreuse, green pumpkin, or like a crankbaits, like small minnows, or a crayfish pattern type crankbait. Another thing that I like to do with trolling is when I get done a stretch trolling downriver, I like to turn around and troll back upriver. And then you can cover the water that way, and then when you get back to where you started, then you can just fish that area. You don't necessarily have to troll downriver. Generally what I like to do is fish the area as I'm floating down, turn around, and then troll back up, and that's another way you could work the trolling method.
And it's putting your bait in another position as far as the fish are seeing it going upstream. You know, most fish are always looking for something to come down, but a lot of times if they're in an ambush, something goes this way, say, what's wrong with that? And they'll come out and hit it.
Right, and again, it's another way of covering water, because if you're paddling back up and you don't have a bait in the water, you're not going to catch fish. But a lot of times you'll catch 2, 3 fish on the way back up to where you want to start your float again.
That's something you never would really think of, as far, you know, you're actually covering more water that way, and keeping, you know, one way to catch fish is keep your line in the water.
Absolutely, yes.
There we go. Nice fish.
Just fishing in front of this abutment, Bob. There's some bass chasing some bait fish right up top, and that's where I got them.
What we have here is we've come up on a bridge abutment, and we have like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get actually 4 different current breaks across the river. So what we've done, Mark positioned
himself.
That
one actually spit up a shiner as I was coming up.
Mark positioned himself above the bridge abutment, and I'm below the bridge abutment. And what we found out, Mark is above there, and I guess the bait fish are at the point, and the fish are just busting up there. So when you come upon like this piece of structure, you got to fish it basically from top to bottom, you know, top to front, back, and make sure you get to these current breaks. And you can see how that bridge abutment kicks that water out. And so those fish are going to be laying right on that eddy or in front of it. And you can see a Mark up there with a little twister tail and just throwing it down there. And the fish are busting those minnows up along there. So they'll move up and back around it. So you can fish this side. And one of the things that I like about fishing this side, because I got the sun in my face, is that this whole pier abutment here is all in the shade. So the fish are going to be laying on the shady side of this, waiting for things. Next one over, I'll do the same thing. Fish this side, fish that side, and then when the sun would come down, you switch over to the other side, and you'll fish the opposite way, all the way across to it. You're always going to be in the shade, casting to the fish. They more up in there, Mark?
There's bait fish just jumping everywhere up here.
Come here.
There you go, Bob.
Yeah. Come here. There's one thing I want you to learn about this is having treble hooks and a smallmouth. Not a good thing. Come here. Come here. Oh. Look at this fish. Oh. Over you. What I did was I noticed that there's tons of bait fish coming along these edges of these bridge abutments. So I was throwing a tube and I was throwing a little jig and wasn't getting anything. And I figured, you know, one of the best baits on the river is just a silver and a blackback Rapala. And I tried to match the size of the bait fish too. They were about 3 inches long. So what I did, I put this is the color of the bait fish, a lot of shad in the water right now, and little minnows and stuff like that. And they kind of got that silvery flash to it. So we just got to this bridge abutment, throw it out, and they're starting to hit this. So I'm gonna see if I can catch some more. One of the cool things about fishing out of the kayak is that we just beached them up on the front of the piling here, and now we're able to fish all around it. We can fish the right side, the left side, and it makes a cool thing that you can get out. And what you find in these, especially with the pilings that we have here in the river, the currents come around and they make a really nice eddy back in here, very calm, but it really digs down, and if you can actually see that there's tons of bait fish laying right on these rocks here. And what the bass will do, the bass will just lay out in this eddy, and they'll just slowly move up, feed, and then they'll just drift on back. They don't have to fight the current. They can just lay in there. They got good structure. They got, if they want to go someplace, right out to fast water if they feel in danger, and that's it. So when you're on the river and you get a chance, if you can get off, you know, always be sure your boat's anchored, right, Mark?
Yep.
And be careful getting out. It's a good spot. 2 guys can fish, one guy on one side, one guy on the other. You just work around. I'm using Rapala. Mark's throwing a little jig, twisted tail, and just work around it. Be surprised, even small crankbaits work. And again, we're hitting it from both areas. We're going to hit the front, bring our baits down. One of the things too that's really important when you're fishing these bridge abutments or any place where you have this kind of a circle current is that you can see how Mark cast. He cast out and let the bait swing down. And that's what you want, because when that bait swings, when it gets to that point, it starts to drop down a little bit more. Bam, that's when you're going to get the hit.
Yeah, a lot of times that's where you'll get, is let it swing down just as you get to the bottom of that swing. That's a lot of times where you get nailed.
That's when it drops down.
Like Bob was saying, I personally, I really enjoy getting out of the kayak a lot. A lot of places that are inaccessible by boat, but it's also nice just to get out every once in a while, because sitting in the kayak for long periods of time can play havoc on your back and can be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places on the river that you can get out and wet wade and just really enjoy the river. And again, it's one thing that you can really do with the kayak.
One of the things that we have right in front of us, Mark, is that riff right there. Now we actually could put the kayaks over there and get out.
Yep.
And just fish that riff, which is a great spot on the river, because what those riffs do, obviously it breaks up the water, it oxygenates the water, and the fish will lay in there, because anything that comes by there is going to be disoriented by the rocks and stuff like that, dips down a little bit, and they'll fish. So you want to fish both of those sides to that riff.